Okay, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a beautiful sikh of the Rebbe on the portion of Vayishlach, the portion of Vayishlach. So we're holding in the book or the pamphlet, whatever you have over here. Vayishlach is on page number 101. Page 101. Okay. Text number 1A. So the class, the Sikh of the Rebbe is on the beginning of the Parsha, the beginning of the portion. You have in Genesis 32, chapter 32, verses 4 and 5 and 6. So Yaakov Avinu is in the story of Yaakov, and he got married. He came to Lavan, and he gets married. And he has 12, he has 4 wives, he marries 4 women, and he has 12 children. No, not at this time. He has actually 11 children at this time. And he travels back to Eretz Yisrael. He travels back to the land of Israel. And as he comes back to the land of Israel, he realizes, he knows before he left Mitzrayim that he's going to have to meet up with Esau. He's going to have to meet up with his brother Esau. And therefore the Torah starts off as follows. Ready? Jacob sent angels, Vayishlach lakem malachim, and Jacob sent angels to his brother Esau. Isa Seir, stay Edom, to the land of Seir, stay Edom, to the fields of Edom. This was the where Esau lived in the fields of in the land of Seir. Part of the land near the land of Israel, and the plains of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "This is what you should say to my master Esau. This is what Yaakov has told me. This is what Yaakov says. In love and love, and I lived. And I have held back until now. I was busy at Lavan. I was busy at my uncle Lavan. I got married, and that's why it took me 22 years to come back. They didn't come back because I was afraid of you, or because I didn't come back because I was busy. And I acquired oxen, v'ilishah, v'chamer, v'tzaim, v'eved, v'shivcha. And I have all these things. I have oxen and donkeys and flocks and maidservants and manservants and maidservants. And I've sent this to my master. I've sent this to you, a gift, to find favor in your eyes. So Rashi in the beginning of the Torah says the following statement, text number 1b. Rashi says, Hiskin, Jacob prepared himself for 3 things. We learn from this that Yaakov Avinu prepared himself for 3 things. What were the 3 things? L'doiren, for a gift. As the Torah says, Vasavar hamincha ufanav, he passed the gift before him. L'tfilah, he prepared himself for prayer, as it says, that he prayed to God. Okay, Avi Avram, it says a little later. He says to the God of Abraham, you promised to protect me. L'machama, he prepared himself for war. The remaining camp will escape. So Yaakov Avinu prepared himself for these 3 things. He was ready to go out to war with Esau. He was ready to go out to war with Esau. So have any question on this? Anybody have a problem with this? Question on this? Anybody? Well, everything is beautiful. We don't need a class. We don't have a question. Yeah. Covered all bases. Really, the question is, if you know Yaakov Avinu, you've learned about Yaakov Avinu for the last couple of weeks. Yaakov Avinu is not the fighter. He runs away from wars. He runs away from challenges in his life. How suddenly he goes from going from the pacifist, the guy who tries to run away from any argument, to run away from any challenge, and now suddenly he says, "I'm ready to go to war." How did he go from A to B? How does Yaakov change his personality? How does Yaakov do that? Why would he do that? You should have, if you know the history of Yaakov, but now he's already Kenai Nahara, he's close to 100 years old. And well, he's living he has a long life yet. So he's 100 years old. Why would why did he follow what he did the last couple of portions? Every time he had an issue, he runs away. He disappears. He works around it. Why suddenly over here he comes out and he's ready to go to war with Esau? That is the question that the Rebbe asks. The Rebbe wants to understand, why would he do that? Number two is the interesting word that Rashi uses. If you listen to the word, I said hiskin. He translates it over here as prepared, but really the word hiskin does not mean in Hebrew to prepare. The word hiskin is really to fix. He fixed himself. If you know Hebrew well, what word would be used to prepare? What would we use? My Israeli is not here today.
I felt like it's his brother. He wanted to make peace with him.
No, but wait a second. What word would he use? What word, if you want to say prepare, you would use the word hichen. Hichen. Hichen is actually. He prepared himself. He wouldn't use the word hiskin. You're right. Hiskin comes from the word tikkun olam, which is to fix. Really, it needs to say hichen is actually. He prepared himself for three things. It doesn't make sense to either. He fixed himself for three things. So over here, you're going to see, this is one of the beautiful, the Rebbe, Babich Rebbe used to give a sicha, many, every Shabbos on Rashi. And he would take apart the Rashi. He would explain the Rashi and what Rashi really wants to tell us. And the deep teachings of Rashi, of the commentator Rashi. And it was called Rashi Sichas, the Sichas on the Rebbe on the Rashi. And over here is that one of those Sichas where the Rebbe tells us, what does Rashi want to tell us really? What does Rashi want to tell us? Even that with his, that Yaakov Avinu prepared himself for a gift and prepared himself for prayer and prepared himself for war. That's number one. Why would Rashi tell us that Yaakov prepared himself for war? That's not Yaakov really. And number three is Rashi uses an interesting word that really doesn't fit in his explanation of the verse. He should have used the word hichen. He prepared himself, and he uses the word hiskin, that he fixed himself. And that's one of the questions that Rashi the explanation that the Rebbe is going to come in explaining Rashi. Yeah. So, what's the answer to these questions?
You were asking before.
Yes, sure.
You were asking before what made him happy. When he didn't have that confidence as he was down. And when he left, he ran away because he felt less. He felt small, he felt scared. Now he has power because he has money, he has wife, he has kids.
Yeah. Okay. No, I have no problem with that.
A feeling of strength.
Right. Okay. That's no problem. He got confidence. What happened? He got confidence. He got confidence because he has family. Okay. That's a beautiful interpretation. We're looking for a deeper interpretation than that. Yeah. A little deeper than that. Yeah. He didn't want to make peace. He was ready to go out to war.
He prepared for war. Besides, placing the camps in a different order, did he have weapons? Did he give his children? Did he have people?
If he prepared for war, then he had weapons.
Like Esau had 400 people with him, whatever that
Right.
was.
If he prepared for war, he had weapons.
Did he have servants or warriors with him?
He just said, I have maidservants. So you can't prepare for war if you're not have weapons. He had weapons. Yeah.
So he had warriors.
I think
He taught him how to war. He prepared. He prepared. I think that's the word hichen. That he prepared. You prepare for war. You prepare for war.
I think if you say he fixed himself,
Yeah.
means he spiritually did tshuva and he got closer to Hashem.
Well, that's tefillah. That's the concept. That's the aspect of prayer. That's the concept of prayer. So he prayed. So that's one of the things he did.
It's one thing to pray, another thing to fix your action.
Okay. So what does that mean? Okay, very good. I like that. But what does that mean?
There is one
What
more
is it?
side that we didn't cover.
Yeah.
He knows his brother is a fighter all the time. Since he was born, that person
Right.
was a warrior. So he was ready for his brother's war. Not necessarily that he was going to go for war, his brother. So he was prepared to face his brother, no matter how tough he is.
Okay, fine. What is the lesson to us in our avodas Hashem that our Yaakov Avinu prepared these three things? That's really the ultimate question. What does that do with us today in Boca? What is the meaning of this lesson that Rashi really wants to tell us? That Yaakov prepared himself for three things: for a gift, for prayer, and for war. What is the real lesson that we need to learn from it? What is the Torah teaching us? So therefore, the Rebbe explains this according to Chassidut. That's really what the Rebbe wants to explain over here. That once you teach something according to the spiritual side of it, then you understand the way it means to us and what's the lesson that we walk out. So we walk out of the class with. So the Rebbe starts as follows. We all know in Chassidut that Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are symbolic to the three midot shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the three attributes of God, and that is Chesed, Gevura, and Tiferes. The aspect of kindness is Avram Avinu. Abraham is symbolic to the aspect of kindness, and therefore ultimately he lived his life through the prism of kindness, and yet Yitzchak was Gevura, was the aspect of severity and strength and depth. So he looked at his life and he lived his life. And that's what the Torah expressed. We mentioned in the past classes that the Torah expresses itself that Yitzchak dug wells. That was his life, to dig wells, to symbolically show that Yitzchak took things in a much deeper way than Avraham Avinu. And Yaakov, what is Yaakov mean? So what was the beauty of Yaakov? So Yaakov, many different expressions Yaakov was, but Yaakov was the combination of both. Was the aspect of Rachamim, mercy, and Yaakov had the capability to combine these two entities together. Therefore, it says Avraham Avinu had a Yishmael, had Ishmael. Yitzchak Avinu had an Esav, because both kindness in its own has something not so pure. So too, severity, selfless in its own, has also things that are not so pure, and it can come out an Esav from the concept of Gevura, severity. And Yaakov Avinu had the capability to unite both of these entities together. And therefore, Yaakov Avinu, even though through his struggles, and ultimately even through his struggles of his children, Mitasi Shlema, he had ultimately a complete bed, so to say. And all his children were tzaddikim. All his children were righteous individuals. And therefore, Yaakov Avinu didn't have a Yishmael that came out of him. Neither did he have an Esav that came out of him, even though that he had many wives, and there were different kind of peoples. If you continue in the Torah reading, whenever we talk about these two entities in life, Chesed and Gevura in the Torah, we always bring up the story of Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel. That's usually the poster child, the poster rabbis of kindness and severity, right? Besides Avraham and Yitzchak, we always bring up the story of the Gemaras, the Talmuds of Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel was always Chesed, and Beis Shammai was always Gevura, right? Yes, so we have in text number 2, the Gemara says, right, we all know this famous story. Sages thought a certain Gentile once came before Shammai, and he said to him, How many Torahs do you have? He said to him, 2, the written one and the oral one. The Gentile said to him, with regard to the written Torah, I believe you. With regard to the oral Torah, I don't believe you. Convert me on the condition that you will teach me only the written Torah. So Shammai scolded him and threw him out of the debate, right? Threw him out. The man, what?
I never heard that story.
Yeah. There's a couple of ways, different ways the Gemara brings down the story. There's a couple of different converts. The man then came to Hillel, who converted him. The first day he taught him an aleph base. You're talking about a different story. There's also next one. That's the next story. There's 2 stories, 2 different stories. So then a man came to Hillel, who converted him. On the first day, he taught him an aleph, base, gimel, and dalet. On the next day, he reverted the order. So why this convert, this guy, he said, I only believe in Torah Shabbat Peh and Torah Shabbat Ksav. I only believe in the oral law, written law. I don't believe in the oral law. So Basila said, you know what? Okay, let's start off with the aleph base. So the first day he taught him aleph, base, gimel. The next day he came, and Beis Hillel switched it around. He called the aleph a gimel, the base an aleph, and the aleph a dalet. He flipped it around. So the guy said, what do you mean? How are you flipping around? Well, it's not what you told me yesterday. Hillel said to him, didn't you rely on me? You should also rely on me with regard to Torah oral law. How do you know this is an aleph, base, and a gimel? How do you know this is an aleph, this is a base, and a gimel? How do you know? Right? How do you know the vowels? How do you know the vowels? How do you read the Torah? How do you know? How do you read the Torah?
It's not in the Torah.
It's not in the Torah. How do you know what is a letter? Right? That an aleph is an aleph, a base is a base, a gimel is a gimel. How do you know that? Where does it say in the Torah that an aleph is an aleph, or base is a base, or gimel is a gimel? How do you know what the vowels of the Torah? How do you know how to read the Torah? If you don't trust the oral tradition, you don't have the Torah. You can't read the Torah. So if that's your issue, that you only want to take Torah Shabbat, then you cannot even open the book. You can't even start reading the Torah if you don't believe in the oral law, in the oral tradition.
I never heard that stuff. Good stuff.
Right? So what do we see? Beis Shammai throws the guy out. Says, you don't want to accept the oral Torah, get out of here. Beis Hillel says, okay, let's learn. Let's come and learn, and maybe I'll convince you. Another time, a certain Gentile, this is the one you heard, came before Beis Shammai. He said, convert me on condition that you teach me the entire Torah while standing on 1 foot. That's the one you know. Beis Shammai dismissed him with a measuring stick. He took a pole and chased him out of the place. The man came before Beis Hillel. He converted him, and he said to him, what is hateful to you, don't do unto others. This is the entire Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn. That's it. They don't convert people like this very quickly, like this either. Right? So Beis Hillel must have known this guy. But so there you see the difference between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. And the Gemara seemingly makes the difference that Beis Hillel was chesed, he was a kind guy, a compassionate guy, he accepted everybody and never chased anybody out. And people asked crazy things, said things that were provocative, what do you call it? Provocative. I'm sorry, that's the right word. He was an accepting guy. He was chesed. He was like Avraham Avinu. He was kindness. He was like Abraham. He was a kind guy. Yaakov, Beis Shammai was the guy. He was a tough guy. He said, "I don't have time to play around with you. You want to act crazy? Get out of here. Go find somebody else." So those Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel. So see, Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel is chesed, and Beis Shammai is gevurah. Then the Gemara says, right. So why was it that way? So the Zohar says in text number 3, Hillel and Shammai stem from the side of mercy and from the side of judgment, which are the attributes of Chesed and Gevurah, embodied by Abraham and Isaac. Those like him gather around him, and that are students of Beis Hillel, likewise the students of Beis Shammai. So that's why there was in the Gemara, you can look up in the Gemara, there's the academy of Beis Shammai and the academy of Beis Hillel. So the Zohar says, in essence, if you were a student that was more Gevurah, you gravitated to Beis Shammai. If you were a student that was more like Beis Hillel, you gravitated to the academy of Hillel. That's it. So, in essence, the Zohar in essence says that you can look through the Gemara, you can see why Beis Shammai is more stringent, because that was his character. Beis Hillel was more lenient because that's your character. It's important to understand that the Eibishter gave each and every one of us a character. Some people are more gravitate to be, more shchayra or more loving, the Gemara says. Some people are more critical, and some people are more, easygoing. You cannot the critic. You shouldn't condemn the easygoing guy. The easygoing guy shouldn't condemn the critics, because that's your character. You learn of Chassidus that you learn in Tanya that there are 4 characteristic traits. Right in the beginning of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says there are 4 character traits. There is, because the basic of the 4 principles of what a human being is made of: fire, earth, water, and air. So some people are more fire. Some people, their character is more fire. Some people, their character is more earth. Everything is earth. Everything is negative. They're depressed more. They're sad more. Some people are more air. Everything is fluff. Everything is kumbaya. They don't really care. They're the Teflon kind of people. And everything is a machaya. Some people are more water. They're more in the aspect of desire. They're very into, it can be, these are negative and positive, right? So they're more into, desire can be the aspect of being a person who's addictive. A person is addictive, right? Chas Shalom, the Eibishter gave you an addictive kind of a personality. You can't blame a person that's addictive. You go tell him it shouldn't be addictive. Some people are not addictive, and the Eibishter God didn't give you that character. So Hillel was more of chesed. He was more of a person that was the aspect of in the positive character traits is the aspect of ruach. He was more in a spiritual guy, and more not so angry and not so. He didn't have these issues, and Beis Shammai was more fire. He was fire. Fire. You can't condemn Beis Shammai and can praise Beis Hillel, because really the truth is that was the character that God gave them. That's why you should never judge anybody, right? Because you should be happy that God didn't give you that challenge, right? God gave that person that challenge. He didn't give me that challenge. It's a very important lesson. You should never judge anybody, right? So you have to have rachmanis on a person that has an addiction, or a person that has desires that he can't control, or a person that has anger, or a person that has depression. Some people, nothing depresses them. Why? Because they push grace and chachamim, because they have great wisdom. Because they thank God they don't have that characteristic of being depressed. Well, some people do have that character. Everything depresses them. Some people can never develop in life because they already see the flaws, right? They already, everything that comes to them, they already see what can go bad, right? And then when it goes bad, then they prove it. I've proven it went bad. See, it went bad. I showed you it went bad. So already they prophesized their doom already. Some people are like that. You can't say, oh, why you're like that? That's his character. Now, Torah tells you, even though you have such a character, and I gave you the character, you have to rise above it. You have to be able to change it. You have to, maybe you won't be able to change it. It's very difficult to change a character. You have to surely be able to control it. And ultimately, if you really want to change it, you have to change it. You have to change it. Right? And nobody can change your character but you. Right? I cannot tell you. It's very easy to say you're a bad character, change your character. Very easy. Why not? Change your character. Go to a person that has addiction, God forbid. Tell him not to be an addict. Talking to the walls. It's not possible. The person has to realize himself. They say like a person that has an alcoholic addiction, doesn't make a difference that he stopped it, hasn't drunk a thing for 20 years. He can change. He can go back to it ASAP. Right? He can go back to it. Why? Because it's hard to change that. It's hard to change it. You control it, but to change it is a very difficult thing. Very difficult thing. And that's why this class is going to be an important thing, important lesson that the Rebbe is going to bring out over here. Because the Torah wants you not only to control your character, the Torah actually wants you to ultimately how to figure out how to change it. How to change your character. How to change your character. How to ultimately, because if you're not going to change it a little bit, even a little bit, if you're not going to change this character a little bit, you'll be fighting your whole life. And that's a sad thing. The Torah wanted a person should ultimately have the capability of changing this character trait, this negative character trait. Right? And that's the lesson. It's going to be a very powerful lesson. So the Rebbe says, the Rebbe shows right now that even though we find that Hillel was Chesed and Shammai was Gevura, nevertheless, it's not totally true. It's not totally true. The Gemara emphasizes this. So the Gemara knew, the Talmud knew that Hillel was Chesed and Shammai was Gevura, but the Talmud wanted to emphasize an important lesson and wanted to say that we shouldn't fall into that. Because in essence, you could say, Hillel said everything was kosher because he was chesed. Had nothing to do with the law, had nothing to do with God. It was basically his character. It was basically his character. So basically, he had no control of in essence, he's trying to say all his law was based on his character, it was based on his emotion. It was not based on his wisdom, based on emotions. So everything, he looked at everything in a kind way. So therefore, everything's kind. So basically, who's the Hillel? Anybody can be Hillel. Right? What's so great about Beis Shammai? Anybody can be Beis Shammai. Because God made you Beis Shammai. He gave you that character of being a fire. So therefore, the Gemara says, my friend, that's not true, and that's in text number 4. The Gemara says, that we find in the Gemara says we find many things that Beis Shammai was Mekel and Beis Hillel was Machmir. We find many things, we find certain things that Beis Shammai was more lenient and Beis Hillel was more stringent. So you cannot say that it's because this character. It's not. Because if that would be totally based on the character, then everything would be Beis Hillel, everything would be lenient. And Beis Shammai, everything would be stringent. And it's not true. It's not true. And the Gemara brings down different things that you see that Beis Shammai is more machmer. And he brings down here 2 things, but there's many things the Gemara brings down that Beis Shammai is more mekel. So the following are the cases where Beis Shammai rules leniently and Beis Hillel rules stringently, then egg that laid in Yontiv. Beis Shammai says it may be eaten, Beis Hillel says not be eaten. Beis Shammai says one is liable for eating chametz on Passover, kazayis, which is the yeast of kaseves and the of actual chametz. Beis Hillel says both cases you need the amount of kazayis. So Beis Hillel was more stringent, it was a smaller amount than Beis Shammai. So and there are many others. I'm not going to go through these laws. It's not an important part of the class. So it's important to know that Beis Shammai was Mekel, and Beis Hillel was Machmeh. And the Gemara means the Beis Shammai was lenient and Beis Hillel was stringent. So why does the Gemara want to tell us that? Why does the Gemara want to tell us that? Because when it comes to the law, when it comes to what's right, what's wrong, you cannot base it on your emotions. Then there's no law. There's no law. Right? That's the problem today. That's the problem. I'm not going to get involved with right. Everybody is going to voting or even in the Supreme Court in America. It's the party. It's not the law anymore. We turned into a party system, right? Law should be above any aspect of party systems and which party you belong to, or whether you're conservative or like even in the Supreme Court. Oh, these are conservative and these are. What do you mean? It's the law. The law has nothing to do with conservative or liberalism. Law is the law. It's the law. People need to be able to be a judge. You need to be able to look at things at the law, the way it needs to be al pi seichel, not according to your emotions, because then there's no law. The law is an emotional thing, and finished. We turned the whole world into an emotional thing. So the Gemara wants to tell us, hello, these rabbis were, even though Hillel was chesed, and that he was a more liberal guy, and Beis Shammai was more conservative guy, whatever you want to call them, but they looked at the Torah with their seichel. They looked at the Torah with their intellect. They looked at the law with their intellect. And they had the capability to overcome their emotions. They had the capability to overcome their emotions. And that's the way you need to do the law. That's the truth. Truth is not an emotional thing. It's not sure. It might be based on emotions a little bit, but truth is not an emotional thing. Truth is the truth. Whether you're emotionally available or you're not emotionally available. Right? You had a bad day, you still got to do the Torah. You got to do the mitzvahs. It doesn't say you should only follow the Torah if you had a good hair day, or you're in a good mood. Right? I'm not in the mood today to daven. What do you mean? It's a mitzvah. You're in a mood, you're good mood or not good mood. One thing to the other. Nobody's asking for your moods. You have to do what is right. And then, so a person has to ultimately overcome his thing, overcome his emotions. And that's where it needs to go. Your person, even if that's the truth is, and a person has a character flaw, when he's got to do the right thing, he's got to do the right thing. Oh, but I have this. I have this character flaw. We got to think for a second. You're right. I have this character flaw, but it's not the right thing. It's not the right thing. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. But why can't we control it? And that's what we keep on saying. The Gemara says that humans keep on saying they're sorry. Right? We keep on saying sorry because we know after we do it, we know that we just shouldn't have done it. Right? We shouldn't have done it. Then we suddenly think, well, what are you crazy? Why'd you do that for? Right? Why'd you do it for? Right? So you say, I'm sorry. But the problem is we do it again. Because we cannot control our emotions. We can't control our character. Forget about changing our character. You can't control our character. So this is an important thing. This is an important thing. Because the truth is, my friends, Hillel and Shammai were both chesed and gevurah. They both had both characters. Hillel was more to chesed, and therefore he expressed everything, and he expressed even his gevurah in chesed, through chesed. When he needed to show gevurah, when he needed to show the aspect of severity, he showed the aspect because that's what you needed. That's what you need to do, because that's the law. Look at the Rebbe says it. After the Rebbe says in text number 5. So this is not easy, my friends. This is not easy. This is not an easy thing. It's not anything that now every Jew must exhibit both of these traits, chesed and gevura, severity and kindness. There's nothing that has not its place, meaning everything has the utility at some time, right? Therefore, we find a number of cases that Beis Shammai ruled lenient and Beis Hillel ruled stringent to teach us the following. It is true that the soul of Beis Shammai was rooted in the spiritual side of gevura, which is why the Zohar says so, which is why they rule stringently regarding all prohibitions in the Torah. Conversely, Beis Hillel stemmed from the spiritual side of chesed. We would find reason to be lenient and permit. Nevertheless, in certain cases, Beis Shammai was lenient due to his scholars, the hitkalut, means the mixture, as we'll soon explain, in the root of the soul. So Beis Shammai also had chesed. The soul was comprised not only of gevura, but also the measure of chesed from the right side. Likewise, the root soul of Beis Hillel included the element of gevura from the left side. And therefore, when it came certain times, you needed to bring about that he needed to reveal his gevura. He needed to reveal to connect his gevura. Hillel needed to bring the chesed through the aspect of gevura, to the concept of severity. And the truth is again that we all have both. Each and every one of us has chesed and gevura. Person shouldn't think that because he's an angry person or he's a sad person that he has he doesn't have the opposite trait of it in him. He doesn't have it. It's not true. It might be hidden. He might want to keep it hidden. Yeah. A lot of people, I'm talking about clinical depression, but a lot of people depressed, actually the Alter Rebbe writes that the reason why they're depressed is because actually they love themselves. They like it, the victim mentality, right? People like it. They feel more empowered. They're depressing everybody else. They don't care about that because they care about themselves. They care about themselves. So it's really a selfish kind of a situation. It's a selfish kind of a reality. They would think for a second how much people they're hurting. We don't want people in general, but their own loved ones, how much they're hurting. Maybe they would think about it twice. Right? They would think about it twice. They won't be so selfish. They will be a little bit more selfless. Because it comes from your Yetzer Hara. It comes again. I'm not talking about clinically issues where you need to have help from the whatever it might be. Listen, it's not a joke. Some people do have that kind of concept. They need help. They should get help. It's not a joke again because some people do fall into that kind of category.
Sitting in this class is better than pills.
Because I'm the pill. I take the pill.
They learned this stuff.
So therefore, the Gemara in text number 6 says it openly, says it very clearly. It says, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said, anyone who acts mercifully when they ought to act cruelly will eventually act cruelly when they ought to act mercifully. Because that is what's called in the Gemara, Aniva Shleivam Kaimer. You're humble, like, oh, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I'm nothing. When the people say they're nothing, right? They're so humble, right? It's an expression, don't be so humble, you're not so great.
Would that sound a little bit like a parent who let the kids get away with what they should?
Yeah, 100%, the same thing.
Exactly.
The same thing. But here Rabbi Yishlach is talking to himself. A person thinks, oh, I'm humble, I'm nothing. Your nothing you'll see how your nothing is gonna hurt people. So here you're nothing and I'm nothing, meanwhile I'm hurting everybody. Right? I'm an achzer. So you think your humility is pashut, not disgusting? Your humility is the biggest disgusting thing that you're going to do. You can do it. So don't use one attribute, don't use one negative thing or one thing that you think is so holy it's far from holiness. So you guys, you Pasha have all this mercy when you don't have mercy, right? You don't have mercy. Your mercy is gonna turn into negative. You know, they say the story of the famous Medrash. I've said this Medrash many times. Of the king that wanted to see Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? You heard in the desert. There's a great leader, Moshe Rabbeinu. Everybody is speaking about him. So he sends the painter down to paint a picture of Moshe Rabbeinu, and he comes back and he looks at the picture and he says, "Oh, he looks like an achzer. He looks like an achzer. He looks like a cruel person. He looks like an achzari. He looks like an achzer. He looks like a cruel person." So he sends another painter down. Comes back with the same picture. Sends another. He says, "You know what? I'm going to go down myself. I got to see this guy. Doesn't look like a nice guy." So he comes down to the desert, the Medrash says, and he comes meets Moshe Rabbeinu. Says, "You look much better than in the painting. Thank God. You look much better in real life than in the painting." But my question is, why do you look like an afsar? Why in the paintings? That's the understand why religious Jews don't like when you take pictures down. So he said, "Why are you looking to paint like an achzer?" So Moshe Rabbeinu said, "I am an achzer. In my teva, in my nature, I am a cruel person. But through learning Torah, I've turned the cruelty to myself. I turned the cruelty to myself. I gave up my life, right? I gave up my life to become a leader in the Jewish nation. I gave up my life. That's an achzer. I'm cruel to myself. I've learned to be cruel to myself and not be cruel to others." So the truth is, Moshe Rabbeinu said, in essence, the Abishah gave me an element of cruelty. I didn't go and pick it up in the morning. Cruelty. The Abishah gave it to me. The Abishah gave me a character flaw, in essence. He gave me that character of being cruel. But through learning it, through educating myself, I learned how to use it out for the good. I've learned how to do it. I gave up my life for the sake of Torah, for the sake of Jewish nation. I gave up my life. Every leader ultimately gives up their life. True leaders gave up their life for the sake of Jewish people. And that's cruel. That's an element of cruelty. Cruelty to themselves. So you shouldn't be. I'm not saying you should be cruel to yourself. Don't get me. That's not the point, because that's also could be in the wrong place.
So when he stood up as 17 or something, and he killed, and he met that guy,
right,
who was
right,
a Jew, and that's when he turned around and
when he became
cared about the people more than himself.
Good question. I don't know exactly when that happened. When did he learn to give up his life? But we know later on he gave up his life. He didn't have a life. He didn't have a personal life. He didn't have a personal life for his own family. So he gave up his life. It's called his Moshe Rabbeinu's Moshe Nefesh, his life for Am Yisrael. He gave up his life for the Jewish nation. He gave up his whole existence. Right? That's why he didn't want to go to the desert. He didn't want to go to Mitzrayim. Right? When God asked him to go, he said, "I don't want to do the job. I know what it entails." That's what you see. That's what you see throughout history, that tzaddikim didn't want to become leaders. Jewish nation, they didn't want to become leaders. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to become a leader, not later on. All Jewish leaders didn't want to become leaders because they understood what it entails, what it means to become a leader. You give up your life. The Rebbe also didn't want to become a leader. No Jewish leader wants to become a leader, because they're not looking for glory. They know it's no glory. It's a pain in the neck dealing with a bunch of Jews. So it's not glory. The Gemara says when you become a rabbi, you think you're becoming a knacker. You're becoming a schlepper. Everybody's going to step at you. Everybody's going to scream at you. Everybody's going to disagree with you. So you're not becoming this great guy. You're becoming a servant. And that's what you need to become. You have the emotion, becoming a servant. You're not becoming a big guy. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu was honored. We call Adam. Moshe Rabbeinu was humble. And therefore all leaders should be humble. They should be humbled by but it's not that way. They become more arrogant. And they become more dictatorship and more aggressive. Okay. Where do we see this? Where do we see this all the way back to Chesed? Where do we see that when we always talk about Chesed, we talk about Avram Avinu? Where do we see that? Avram Avinu, Chesed, takes his own child to kill him. How do you put the two together? How does Chesed take Yitzchak to kill him? So Avram Avinu is far from Chesed, right? The Abishah says, Chesed, I want you to go and do the ultimate act of Gevurah. I want you to go and do the ultimate act of Gevurah. Kill the ultimate act of Gevurah, not only kill. I want you to go kill your own son. How a paradox could that be? We talk about Avram Chesed, and then the Abishah tells him, I want you to go take your son and kill him. And he doesn't say boo. He says yes. Right? If he was so chesed, he'd say, "You crazy? What? I had a nightmare? Did I just go crazy? I should go see a psychiatrist? That the Avish to God is telling me to take my son and kill him? I mean, how does chesed do that? And not only how does chesed do that, but you read the Torah, we say this portion every day in the davening, the Akedah, we say it every day in our prayers, in the beginning of our prayers. And we emphasize there that Avram Avinu needs to be stopped to do it, right? He doesn't want to stop, right? I'll text somebody, don't touch him. What are you crazy, right? Don't you dare touch him. What do you mean? You told me to kill him. I'm going. Let's do this. Let's get this done. Right? Thank God, God told him to go to a mountain. Imagine if God said, go kill your son. He would have gone and killed him. Took him 3 days to get to the mountain. Right?
Think about it.
You would think Chesed would say, okay, how do we get around this mountain? How do we get around this situation? Right? How does Chesed say, we're going to go forward with this story? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. The story doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense even the story of father killing his son. But even if you understand the spiritual side, the characteristics of Abraham, it sounds like a total paradox. It sounds like a total crazy story. So Avram, what does that tell you? That even though we characterize Avram as Chesed, he had Gevurah in him, right? Because probably anybody else would have said, God, wait a second. Let's think about this, right? Even Moshe Rabbeinu tells God, wait a second. Let's think about it. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure this is what you want to do? Did I hear you right? Right? Did I hear you correctly? No. Avram Avinu says, God says, go kill your son. Doesn't say boo. Right? David just talks about killing Sodom. He opens his mouth. Go kill your son. Hineni. Let's go. Vayashkam Ramba Baike wakes up in the morning and he's on his way. Avram Avinu had Gevurah. He had Gevurah. That proves that Avram Avinu had Gevurah, had severity in him. He had the capability of doing the most severe acts in the world. Right? So that's text number 7. You looked at text. This is important. That's an important lesson. Right? So that's what it says. The verse says, God says, do not stretch for your hand and allow nor the slightest thing to him. For now I know, this is the interesting thing. For now I know that you're a God-fearing man. Now I know you're a God-fearing man, right? That now I know that you have Gevurah too, right? You've proven to me that you're not just an emotional person, right? You do your chesed because it's right. You do your Gevurah because I asked you to do it, even though it doesn't make any sense. And emotionally, you can't do it. I know you cannot do it, but you wanted to do it anyway. Why? Because now I know you have fear of God. Until now, I know you have kindness to God. I don't know you have fear of God. I know you love God, but now I know you have fear of God. And you did not withhold your son, your only one, from me. I asked you to do something, and you didn't. You did it because you have gevura, you have severity, and that's the beautiful. That's the beautiful. That's what Alter Rebbe says, written Avram, who represents the attribute of kindness and love. Now I know that you are a God-fearing man, because now he had adopted the attribute of gevura and has bonded his son Yitzhak and taken a knife. Right, the Eibishter waited. You didn't just go say, "Okay, wow, you walked 3 days. You're proving yourself." No, he made sure that he walked up with the son to the mountain. He bounded. He binded him. He took the knife. He was ready to go get. And David says, "Now I see." Right? It was to want God, in essence, wants that a person should not to say, "I'm chesed. I do everything because of chesed. Take me the way I am." Okay, I'm chesed. I do everything because of chesed. Or I'm gevura. That's it. Take me the way I am. That's it. I'm an angry person. Take me the way I am. I'm an addicted person. Take me the way I am. That's it. This is the way it is. Take me. This you're stuck with. No. David says, God says no. God says no. God says no. I've given you all attributes. I've given you all talents. I've given you all characteristics. I've given you all emotions. Now learn how to work with them. Learn how to develop them. Learn how to integrate them. So how do we do it? How do we do it? What? You haven't learned it yet. Now we're gonna learn it. We're gonna no. The Rebbe is gonna answer. The Rebbe is say this side, this portion is where the Torah is telling you, and what Rashi wants to tell us this thing. So let's just end off one more text. Over here, text 8b. The attribute of goodness and kindness is hidden and concealed within people whose soul stem from the left side and called those who fear you like Beishamah. But also it's hidden good, nevertheless, in the truly great-like attribute of God's greatness and kindness itself, stemming from the right side. Both of them stem from the revelation that is utterly without limit and measure. Therefore, both of us stem from our soul. Whether we have kindness, whether we have severity, whatever it might be, it all stems from our neshama. And therefore, it all is capable of change and development. It's all capable. The second you say it's not, you push it, don't know who you are. You simply don't know who you are. You're denying yourself value. That's why, again, the Rebbe would always say the most important prayer that you can say in the morning is Maidani. I've said this many times. Shazaita bin nishmasi. You're giving me back my soul. Then we go and say all the talents that I might have, whether I have brains or no brains, whether I have walk or don't walk, I talk, and all these things. But it's all irrelevant if I don't have a neshama. I have a neshama. I have a soul. And that soul has everything in it. Nothing can be damaged in my soul. It can be damaged in my body, it can be damaged in my character, but nothing can be damaged in the essence of my soul. Shama shenasatabi tahirahi. The soul that you are given me is pure. And if it's pure, then it has all the capabilities. It has gevura, has chesed, it has all the capabilities. It has happiness, sadness, everything in it. It's a full package. Because there's a time to be happy, there's a time to be sad. There's time to be angry. There's time for everything. Alter Rebbe says you have to ask yourself a question. Is now the time? That's it. Is now the time? So there's a time for anger. Alter Rebbe says go into the room one night, every night for 10 minutes, bang on the wall, whatever you want. While you're banging somebody else, right? Bang your own head against the wall, whatever it might be. So here the Rebbe says the answer. How are you going to fix this? Okay. Now it's usually the question is easier than the answer, as usually. Okay, let's see if we can connect to this. The Rebbe says as follows. That's why, going back to the beginning of the class, that's why the Rashi says, Hiskin esatzman. Yaakov Avinu fixed himself. He didn't prepare himself. He fixed himself. Yaakov Avinu fixed himself, meaning Yaakov Avinu changed his life. That's it. He changed his life. Even though he's an old man already, Kanai 12 kids, he decided, you know what? If I'm going to have to deal with the Esav, I need to change. I need to change the way I do things. How do I do that? How do I change? Easy said and done. How does one change? So that's why Rashi continues. And Rashi says the way to change is to don't challenge one thing with one thing. Come as a group. Come as a group. He prepared three things together. Right? It's hard to change one to the other. When you have two enemies, right? You have one fighting one another. It's very difficult because you might lose. If you come as a separate entity, so Gevura against Gevura might lose. But if you take Gevura and Chesed against Gevura, then it will win. You have to come as a group. That's the beauty of diving in a minion. You come and dive in a minion with 10 people. You're not yourself. You're part of a group, part of a tzibur. You always need to be part of a group. That's why it says, Al tifresh min tzibur. Don't ever separate yourself from a tzibur, because the group is the strength in the group is more than the strength in the individual. And the strength in your own character is bigger if you come with a couple of things together. As Ostrud tried to explain this concept. Come with a couple of things together. Never come one-to-one. You might lose one-to-one.
So what does a woman do? She doesn't go to a meeting.
Oh, that's a good question. She can still come to the minion.
Well, yeah. She could come, but
Oh no, okay. I gave one example. But the concept of tzibur, you should come a group. That's what the Rebbe built in the Sheikh Chabad. For that reason, the women should come together. It shouldn't be just every person on his own. We should come together. The power, the Gemara says, the example, while one person can carry, two people carry double one person that one. Not only that, just another one. They actually carry what four people can carry. Understand? Two people can carry double what one person can carry. There's strength in unity, right? Correct. So that's what the Rebbe says. That's what Rashi is trying to tell us. The word hiskin, in text number 9 on page 109. The word hiskin is from the word tikkun, fixing. It doesn't just mean preparing, but rather also describes the method of preparation. One fixes oneself, preparing internally to do something. The same applies to Yaakov. The way he prepared for the gift, a gift for war and for prayer, was fixing himself. He wanted to fix himself. So let's look at the next word, next letter text, and give us a little bit deeper. This is why Rashi, this is the beauty of the way the Rebbe explains the Rashi. This is why Rashi says Yaakov fixed himself for three things. The ability to make all three preparations at once doesn't come naturally. There must be a fixing of oneself. First, meaning an internal transformation. This is because each of the three preparations is so different and they are opposites of one another. A gift is about feeling closeness and being kind. Battle is about distance and strength. And both of these are human interactions. Prayer, however, is about begging God for mercy. So it's a total different thing. Right? So the Yaakov Avinu put all this in one package. He said, you know what? That's what Yaakov Avinu is the bringing of unity between things. Yaakov Avinu had the capability of not just fixing A and fixing B no, he said, let's bring it together. Let's bring all these things together. Let's try to unite entities together. And through the unity of these entities, they'll fix each other out. To be able to engage in all three different conflicting approaches at the same time is not a natural ability, not even in the natural ability of the divine soul, where every aspect has its own properties. Rather, there must be a fixing of oneself, an internal transformation. So Yaakov Avinu realized he needs to go deeper than himself. He needs to fix himself. He needs to, so to say, to think out of the box. Instead of always doing things in a certain way where you fix each and every separate situation, I'm going to basically come together as a group, as a machne. That's why the Torah emphasizes machne, that he looked at it as a group A, group B, but it was a group of people, a group entity, a group mentality. And Yaakov Avinu understood by bringing together different concepts, chesed and gevura and tiferes, and bringing them together. That's like a rainbow. That's much beautiful than just coloring something with one color. To be able to color something with many colors, to be able to do that in any way you can do that. What? He gave his son a coat of many colors. And that's actually why he gave his son a coat of many colors. Correct. Yaakov Avinu saw himself in Yosef. That Yosef had the capability of handling any kind of situation. The truth is that's why Yosef had the capability of handling any kind of situation. Because Yosef did have that character that he be able to, he could be a tzaddik and be the king of Egypt. The king of Egypt. He didn't see that as a conflict of being a righteous man and being the king of Egypt. Well, any of those brothers, even Jacob, it was hard for them to comprehend. How is Yosef the king of Egypt and he's a tzaddik? He's a righteous man. How do you do the two things together? How do you bring those two things together? But you have to bring those two things together. The Eibishter wants you to be a regular person, to be anybody, and to be a Jew, and to be a godly individual. How do you bring the two things together? How do you change? You change the world. You change godliness. What do? You go out of both of them. You go higher than both of them, and that brings them together. You realize that both of them is a creation by God. And therefore, the Eibishter created them equally. And they're both inter-important. So in essence, for Hillel to become stringent, he realized he went out of himself of stringency and kindness, and he looked at it the way God wanted him to look at it. And that's the way you can bring them both together. You elevate yourself from the situation, and then all things are similar, have some kind of a connection. How does a man and a woman get together? Because they put bashet, they put that word in there. We're bashet. We're the Eibishter brought us together. Right? It doesn't make any sense that women are from Mars and men are from Venus or whatever. It's opposite. Whatever. Who decided that? Maybe it's the opposite. Who decided that? Who decided? Maybe it's opposite. I don't know. Whatever. We're opposites. But the Eibishter there's a purpose why the Eibishter put us together. And actually it's a beautiful situation. If we can both look above ourselves. How do you bring a community together? All opposites. If we all look above ourselves, we all elevate ourselves and realize you got to think out of the box. You're going to think in the box, you're never going to elevate yourself. So look at the end. We're going to finish off because we're late. So among Hasidic teachings spawns by observing of the wars of those days known as 7-year war. Oh, look at this. This is a statement of Rama Malach. This is a teaching of Rama Malach. Rama Malach was the son of the Maggid Mezrish. He was called Avram the angel, son of Magid Mezich, very spiritual guy. So he said, I've learned something. We were in the middle of the war of this. It was called the 7-Year War. You know what that is? It was in the 1700s. Frederick, the king of Persia, and the other kings. Typical warfare always consists of a center brigade, flanks on either side, against which the enemy would assemble and corresponding forces. Each brigade would battle its opponent until one emerged victorious. Every guy shot, another guy shot, with a sword. So the Persian success with God's aid was achieved by concentrating all 3 brigades together and pitting them against just one enemy unit. In this way, they were guaranteed to conquer at least one enemy brigade. Although during the attack, enemy forces might attack, they nevertheless assumed this risk. That's the way King Frederick thought out of the box, which guaranteed a victory over one brigade. Then they would repeat it against the 2nd and the 3rd brigade until they eliminated it. So Avram Magid said, that's I learned. So the same way I learned the way to serve God, to bring things together, to unite. No, this is Avram, his son.
No, but the
son of the Mizich Shemag. Right, correct. So to be able to bring things together, unite. So that's what it says, for example, when you have 2 Jews get together, you have 2 good against 1 Yetzer Hara. Right? You have 3 Jews you have 3 good people against 1 Yetzer Hara. Why is it 1 Yetzer Hara? Why is it not 2 Yetzer Haras or 3 Yetzer Haras? Because my Yetzer Hara doesn't want to unite with your Yetzer Hara. My Yetzer Hara says, I'm a small Yetzer Hara, you have a big Yetzer Hara. So my Yetzer Hara, my evil never wants to unite with you, but our good wants to unite. So you're right. There's 3 Jews. You have 3 Yetzer Haras, but your Yetzer Hara doesn't like my Yetzer Hara, and my Yetzer Hara doesn't like your Yetzer Hara. But my positive likes your positive. My Yetzer Hara likes your Yetzer Hara. So now it's 3 against 3. Now we can each one change the other, because 3 against 1, 3 against 1, 3 against 1. So that's the beauty. Good always wants to unite. Kedusha wants to unite. Evil doesn't want to unite. Because each one wants to be bigger or more. I'm a big Yetzer than you.
It makes no sense. Because what did the other 2 brigades do when just sit there and twiddle their thumbs?
No, so even though they were attacking them, but still, when you have a concentrated force, I'm not Frederick the Gates, but still you have a concentrated force on one.
He had concentrated the 3 against 1. But the enemy had 3 also. So
right, but they were on the side of them.
The other 2 just sat there?
They were waiting for them to come attack. I don't know. They were attacking to the side, but they were not. When you have 3 brigades against, I don't know. I'm not a tactician.
Spiritually, it makes sense, but I think.
Go look it up. Look it up, and maybe you'll see he was called Frederick the Great because he won the war. He won the war.
So whatever he did.
He won the war. He didn't lose the war. If he would have lost the war, then it wouldn't make sense. So you're right, it didn't make sense. In that time, that's what was called. He thought out of the box. So it didn't make sense. Nobody would have done it that way. He thought out of the box. Maybe it took him time to get there. I don't know. You can look it up. I give you the job. Find out why. Let's end off text number 12. Page 112. Each negative attribute can only oppose its corresponding attribute of holiness. Love for material pursuit opposes love of holiness. This is the meaning, the corresponding attribute, for they are both the same feelings. But one is of kindness, of holiness, love of God, and the opponent is of foreign love, kindness of klippa. Klippa is a covering. But negative love doesn't oppose gevura of holiness. That's the thing. It does not oppose gevura of holiness, which is the attribute of fear. So negative love only opposes positive love. Positive always fights the negative. So you have positive love of God. The challenge is love of the world. These two things challenge each other. But love of the world has nothing to do with the fear of God. It's challenge. Fear of God has its challenge, fear of the world. But love of the world, its challenge is not the fear of God. So can you imagine if you take the love of God and the fear of God and you bring them together to fight the love of the world? Now you have two against one. Moshe, you with me? So it might be possible for love of materialism to sometimes overpower love of holiness. But when the holy awe joins love of holiness, then love of materialism is no match for them at all. So when we take the love of God and we mix it together with the fear of God, because those two things can go together. Love of God and fear of God can go together because they're both about God. So if you take the love of God and you take the awe of God and you challenge that against the world, you have a victory because you have two against one. So the Rebbe just gave you how to challenge your own character. If you have a negative character, find the opposite of it, right? So let's say you have a negative character, you have anger. Person has anger. What's the opposite?
Love.
Opposite is love. Then take another character or of that person, right? Respect of that person. So to take the love and the respect that you have of that person and challenge that anger. And now you have two against one. Because you have the love of that person. You have to do that before you get angry. Okay? So you have the love of the person, right? You're angry at the person, but you love him. That the contradiction of that anger is love. And you have the attribute of love. And then you have another attribute, and that is awe. And that should and then you have another attribute, netzach, self-victory. So now you have three against your anger. And then you have beauty. Take the attribute of beauty, throw that into the mix too. Is it a beautiful thing to express yourself in that way, to make this fight? So now you have four against one. If you're just gonna go, oh, I hate the guy, oh, but I really love him, hate's gonna outrun it. Because from Sabi, you hate him more than you love him, especially at this moment. And mix into this love another attribute. I have mercy on him. Okay. I'm in awe. I mean, he's a great guy. Mix in other attributes. That's what Yaakov Avinu did. Yaakov Avinu took three things together. He was ready to go out to war, but with it, he tried to appease him. And he tried to pray. Put together a bunch of things together and take your character flaw and challenge it not with just the positive part of that character flaw. Challenge it with other qualities that you have, other positive attributes that you have. So that's the Rebbe's teaching that the teaching of the story of the Parsha really teaches us, because we all have Yaakov and Esav in ourselves. We have Yaakov and Esav. We have the good character and we have the Esav, the evil character in ourselves. We always try to run away from the Esav, right? We always try to ignore the evil character traits that we have. We push it underneath the carpet. But sooner or later, you need to go out and challenge the Esav. That's a frightening thing. And Yaakov was frightened to go and challenge the Esav. We all frightened to challenge our own evil, our own negative. So the Rebbe says, don't be afraid. Put together a group within yourself, put together a group in your mind, put together a group, and that will be able to overcome the negative. You'll have a much more easier way to overcome your negative, your Asa that's in you, or the Asa that's outside, whatever the Asa is by you, whether it's outside of another person or another entity, or as I said, the Asa within you. You have much more of a better way to overcome this. And then the love of materialism, no match to them at all. It was never designed to counterpart for fear. That's it. That's not the way God designed it, thank God. So God designed it that your certain character flaw or the negative is not there to character both concepts. It's just there to counterpart one entity. That's the way it was entered. That's the way God designed it. Maybe the God designed it that way. So that Baruch Hashem, we can have a scholars, we can bring together many entities to attack one entity. And that completes the yes, you have a question? Yeah.
Why is Isaac always mentioned as his one and only son? What about Ishmael?
Right.
He was his son also.
Correct. Very good question. So Avram Avinu actually said to God that Yishmael, it was also my son. But God said, but the inheritance of Yidden is you only have one son. So Abraham had more than one son. He had another 6 children again. So he had 7. He had eight sons. But God says in the aspect of the inheritance of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism, and the future of the Jewish nation, you have one son. You only have one son, and that is Isaac. So that is your one son in connection to Jews. But God said, "I'm calling you Abraham because you're going to be a father of many nations." The verse says, but to the Jewish nation, you have one son. That's Isaac. You don't have 2 sons. Jewish people come out of Isaac. They don't come out of Ishmael. So we come out of Isaac, not out of Ishmael. That's the way it is. Thank God. Okay, guys, a great class. It's a deep class a little bit.